souls. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. My name is Carolyn, and this channel is all about true crime, mystery, and anything abnormal. Highly recommend subscribing because this channel is definitely a vibe. This is actually my second time trying to record this video. I attempted to record it yesterday, and I'll leave at the end of this video, if you want to watch to see what happened yesterday and why I couldn't film the video, that'll be at the very end of this video. But let's get right into today's story. Today's story is about a serial killer that the FBI says is the most terrifying serial killer they have ever known. On February 1st, 2012, Samantha Koenig, who was an 18-year-old barista, was working at her job in Anchorage, Alaska, and she worked at a little coffee kiosk where people could either walk up or drive up, and it was just a tiny little hut, and she would serve coffee there all day. A man came up to the window to order a coffee. Specifically, he ordered an Americano. After Samantha hands the man his coffee, he pulls out a gun. He orders her to turn off the lights inside of the coffee grounds little hut kind of thing. It's a very small, I guess it's a store or cafe, but it's very, very tiny. And he demands that she empty the register. So at first she's thinking this is a robbery. He then proceeds to climb through the window that, the window he had ordered the coffee from, and he zip tied her hands and her feet. He then informed her he was going to take her to hold her for ransom, and that if she cooperated, that she would live. The man had prepared his truck ahead of time for the kidnapping. He had already removed his license plate, so if anyone did see his truck, they wouldn't be able to see his license plate. He put her in the back and he drove off. He then drove Samantha back to his house, and he doesn't live alone. He has a girlfriend and a daughter who live in this home. What he ended up doing was locking Samantha in a shed, and he prepared the shed for this. So he was able to bind her and tie her up so she wasn't able to move. And he turned on a radio really loudly, and he claimed that he had a police scanner, so if she made any attempt to alert neighbors or try to get herself any type of help at all, that he would kill her. As he's talking to Samantha, he wants her phone and her debit card. The problem is she doesn't have either of them with her. Her phone is back at work. Her debit card is in her truck, but her boyfriend had her truck. So what her boyfriend would do is her boyfriend would drop her off at work and driving her truck, and then he would have the truck to do what he needed to do, and then he would go after her shift and pick her up. So he's able to go back to the coffee hut thing and get her phone. Now, her debit card being in the truck is at her boyfriend's house. So this man has the nerve, while holding Samantha captive, to go where she lives, break into her truck to steal her debit card. He is able to break into the truck and get her debit card, but Samantha's boyfriend catches him, and he just thinks this is a burglar. He has not related this in any way to Samantha, or that something's wrong with Samantha or anything like that. He just thinks this is some guy trying to rob him. But the man is able to get away, and the boyfriend doesn't, he doesn't get his license plate. He doesn't have any information that would be helpful in identifying who the man was that stole the debit card. So if you don't know by now, we're talking about Israel Keys. One thing Israel learned from Samantha was that Samantha's boyfriend was going to show up at her work to pick her up after work. And if she wasn't there, her boyfriend's going to wonder where she was. So Israel texts her boyfriend using Samantha's phone and claims that she's angry at him, kind of makes this sort of vague thing of saying like, I know what you did. I need a bit of time to myself, so I'm not going to see you for a couple of days. The boyfriend is a little confused, but he just thought maybe she's just, having a bad day and something's going on that maybe he doesn't know about. And he just thought maybe she just needed a little time to cool off. He wasn't alarmed or thinking something terrible had happened to her. He goes back to his house, to the shed where Samantha is, and he SAs her, and then he ends up strangling her. And then the next day, he had a cruise scheduled. Him and his girlfriend and his daughter went on a 2-week cruise while Samantha's dead body is in his shed. And it didn't appear in any way like that was concerning to him. He was pretty calm about the whole thing because he was able to go on vacation with a dead body in his shed and be completely comfortable doing that. So, wow. Once he comes back from the cruise, he goes into the shed, and obviously Samantha's body is still there, but now her body is frozen. And he wants to take a picture of her and make her look alive so that he can do a ransom note to try to get money as though she was still alive. But she's deceased and frozen. So he's got to do some things, unfortunately, to her body to be able to take that picture. But before he does that, he does absolutely despicable things to her body, like necrophilia. One of the grossest things I think there is, but not to Israel Keys. So once he was finished satisfying his sick urges, he realizes like he's got to try to make her body look alive. So the first thing is he realizes he needs to thaw her body. He sets up heaters to thaw her body. Now, in some sources, it said he used a hair dryer, but some other sources said he used like a space heater. To me, I don't know you could defrost. That sounds so weird. Not defrost. Well, yeah, you have to defrost. It sounds weird when you're talking about a person. But I doubt that a hair dryer would be able to thaw a human body. So most likely, I would say he used the space heater. But depending on the sources, there seems to be a lot of people that claim he used a hair dryer. This space heater seems more believable to me. But either way, he defrosts her body. So he has thawed her body, and, she's dead and she looks dead. So he thinks maybe if I put makeup on her, it will make her look more alive. He goes and gets his girlfriend's makeup and puts makeup on Samantha's deceased body. And the girlfriend, she has absolutely no idea anything that any of the crimes that Israel's committed. She knows nothing about anything he's done. She has no idea that there is a deceased woman in her shed in the house that she's living in. And I really hope if he used her makeup, he didn't put it back. Because I'll tell you, when I was getting ready for this video, doing my makeup, that was the part of the story I kept getting stuck on. And could you imagine if somebody used your makeup on somebody who had passed away and then you used the makeup? I don't know, something about that it's really creepy, obviously. So after he'd put the makeup on her, he decided he had to do something about her eyes. Now, what he did to her eyes has been widely speculated about a lot of things. Some sources claim that he stapled her eyes open. Some sources claim that he sewed her eyes open. But in his I watched a lot of his interrogation that was done. And in his interrogation, he says that he actually sewed her eyes shut. So, you know what he does to her eyes, again, it doesn't really matter. It's disgusting what you're doing to this poor woman's body. Israel had also gone into a recycling bin to find an old newspaper. So the date on the newspaper would have been while he was on his cruise, after Samantha had already, obviously, she was deceased at this point. But as far as anyone else knows, she's just missing. They don't know what happened to her. So he poses her and a newspaper with the date because he's going to ask for $30,000. So then once he has the picture, he takes it and he puts it in an envelope and he goes to a local park and he pins it on this kind of, they had this board where there was like a poster of a missing dog. So he kind of pinned an envelope sort of behind the dog. So at this point, Samantha has already been reported missing by her boyfriend and her family, and everyone is trying to figure out what happened to her. People are searching. They are, police are trying to investigate what happened. And during that, the police end up pulling the CCTV footage of the inside of the coffee hut. So they can clearly see that he comes up, orders a coffee, has a gun, gets her to turn the light. The whole story I told you at the beginning, it's all on film. So then the police realize someone has her. So Israel uses Samantha's phone to text her boyfriend and gives them these kind of vague directions, basically directing them to go to this bulletin board at this park so that they can see this envelope. And then when they obviously go there, they find the envelope, they see the picture of her, and they see the demand that $30,000 be deposited into her bank account because Israel Keys has her debit card. While all this was going on, Israel Keys then dismembered Samantha's body, and he put her body parts in different trash bags, and he went out to a lake that he normally went ice fishing at. So he goes out as though he's going ice fishing, and he drops these bags, when they cut the hole for ice fishing, he's dropping it so they all go under the water, under the ice. He then decided it was time to do a little fishing as well. So he fished and caught fish out of the hole that he just disposed a dead body in, and took the fish home and cooked it for his family for dinner. So, yeah. What a psycho. All while this is happening, the whole community has gotten involved, and a whole lot of different people have been making donations, and they have accumulated the $30,000. So they deposit the $30,000 into Samantha's bank account. So Israel Keys decides that he's going to go on a cross-country journey, which he has done many, many times before. And he's going to go to different ATMs to withdraw the money. So he goes to an ATM and he withdraws money, but his face is covered and you can't see the car in the CCTV footage at that ATM. At another ATM, he makes another withdrawal. This time he makes a big mistake. His face is completely covered, so they can't tell who the person is. But in the background, the bank video can see that it is a white Ford Focus. And I don't know why it's always white cars. Like OJ with the white Bronco, Brian Koberger, the white Elantra, creeper vans were white. Israel Keys got a white Ford Focus. Like, what is it with white cars? Do you have a white car? Like, why is it always white cars? If you got a white car, I'm watching you. So the police find his car, the white Ford Focus that he's driving, and they are following him, but they wait for him to speed a little bit. And it ended up working out really well because he believed he was being pulled over for speeding. So he gets out of the car and he's talking to the officer, because apprehending a murder suspect is a very dangerous thing to do, because there's a lot at stake for that person and you have no idea how they're going to respond. But he was very safely taken into custody and sent right back to Alaska. The police officer that arrested him had no idea he had just arrested a criminal who had been on a rampage for the last 16 years. Samantha was his last victim. There were many, many more before. So let's talk a bit about Israel Keys. He was born January 7th, 1978, and he was one of 10 siblings. His parents, Heidi and Jeff Keys, they were strange people, I would say. So they kind of are involved in a bunch of different religions. They have very radical views. One church that they went to, a lot of people believe that it's a cult. So they don't believe in anything, okay? They think the government's evil. I mean, we're not going to, that's not as, I'm not, maybe that may not be their craziest thought. They don't believe in science. They don't believe in medicine. Sinning, anything you do is a sin. Literally anything you do is, and they're hugely racist. We'll get to that. So the kids, they're not allowed to watch movies, but they're not allowed to play sports. They're also not allowed to play musical instruments. And yeah, so they're super racist. So they believe if two people of different races have sex, or if they're in a relationship, anything, but specifically if two people with different skin color have sex, they're sinning. And what I would like to say to that is me and Jerome are going to sin our brains out tonight. So we know he comes from a super ignorant family that's just, his parents are nuts. Let's just put it that way. They're insane. And at one point, all 12 of them, so there's the parents and the 10 children, and they live in a 1-bedroom house. So some of the kids just have to sleep outside because, I don't know, they don't want to work to provide for their children, because I think working is probably evil. Everything's evil to these people. They're absolutely nuts. So because the parents, they don't think working is, what they're going to do with their lives. They have 10 children. They're definitely not going to take care of these 10 children. So the kids kind of learn how to take care of themselves. And it's like survival, because a lot of the kids are just living outside. So they did a lot of hunting. And Israel Keys was extremely good at hunting. But he was also extremely cruel in hunting. Now, I have never been hunting. I don't know anybody that hunts. But I believe hunters try to kill animals humanely, or as humanely as they can. I don't think many hunters are out in the wild torturing animals before they kill them. But that's what Israel Keys was doing. He once skinned, if you don't want to hear animal stuff, go ahead 10 seconds. This is really disgusting. He skinned a deer alive. So he wasn't so much hunting to feed himself and his family. He was doing that, but he was more into the torture the animals part. He had also hurt his sister's cat. He's really sick. He's sick to animals. He's sick to humans. He's just a sicko. But there was one thing that Israel Keys was very good at, and that was carpentry. By his teenage years, he had actually built a cabin for his family to live in. So at this time, the family was living in Colville, Washington, and he was born in Utah. They moved around a lot. So while they were in his teenage years, he built this family this cabin, and he was getting carpentry jobs there. The family then decided to relocate again. This time, the family decided to move to Maine to join an Amish community and make maple syrup. So Israel's growing up in this like psychotically religious family. And I don't even know if you can really call it religion. I think it's just like, you're just so ignorant in your views that you claim I'm doing this because of God. Because I don't know. I think that people use that to justify a lot of their beliefs. They'll say it's religious when you're just an ignorant asshole. But he started expressing some atheist views to his family. And that was a big problem for his parents. So they end up, the whole family gets in this huge fight because Israel is expressing that, you know, he is an atheist. Or at least has atheist thoughts or views or whatever. I don't know. The family's their thinking is so messed up. It's hard to really know what exactly was the problem for them. But the whole family ends up in this huge argument, and Israel Keys takes off, and he doesn't talk to his family for a while because his parents, they kick him out of the house, but they also tell all of his siblings that they are not allowed to communicate with Israel at all. So he's completely cut off from his family. Well, Israel is now on his own. He starts getting into Satanism and the occult, and he starts kind of fantasizing about doing ritualistic murders. I'm sure this psychopath has been thinking about murder for a lot longer, and I don't use the word psychopath lightly because I think it's very overused. Everyone is always like, oh, they're a psychopath. This is a psychopath. Like, to be a psychopath, you gotta be real crazy. You gotta be real crazy. Israel Keys, certifiable psychopath. So Israel Keys heads back to Colville, Washington, and that's where he's gonna stay temporarily. On March 2nd, 1996, a 13-year-old girl, Julie Marie Harris, was trying to go to church. She was hitchhiking, trying to get a ride to go to church. And she was just a really exceptional young woman. She was a double amputee, and she had participated in the Special Olympics, and she had won medals. So she was a really amazing athlete. So Julie was hitchhiking, trying to get a ride to go to church, and she disappeared. They did investigations, they did searches. Nobody could figure out what had happened to this poor young girl. About a month after she had gone missing, her prosthetic legs were found. And then a year after she went missing, her remains were found. But nobody had ever figured out who did this to her. So at the time that Julie went missing, Israel Keys was 18 and he was living in the area. And it's very much believed that he was the person that took her life. And it's possibly believed that this could have been his first murder. Now in 2012, when he was arrested for Samantha, the girl we started talking about at the beginning of the story, when he was asked specifically about Julie, if he was involved, and he would not confirm or deny. So I think that's an admission, because he wouldn't deny it, but he also wouldn't confirm it. So I think it's pretty safe to say that he was responsible for that. And that's part of the problem with Israel Keyes, is for a serial killer, he was very good. Like, I don't know how to say it. Saying he's good at being a serial killer sounds really messed up. But he was good at not getting caught. And he put a lot of work and effort into making sure he never got caught. And that's what's so bizarre about him killing Samantha, because he had never killed before close to where he lived. He had never, like, he would travel halfway across the country. He'd fly there, then he'd rent a car, he would drive to another state, commit a crime, and like he would use cash along the way. Like, he went to all these extremes to cover up what he was doing. Now, the whole time I'm reading about all his nonsense, I'm like, the amount of money and time you spent doing that, like, you could have like gone and seen all of the national forest. Like, there's a lot of really cool things you could have done, but you chose to be a piece of garbage instead. Around the time that Julie had gone missing, another girl goes missing. Cassandra Emerson was reported missing after the trailer that she lived in with her mother was burned down, and they discovered it was arson. And Marlene, her mother, was also found dead inside the trailer. But nobody knew where Cassandra was. Cassandra's remains were found in 1998, only about 10 miles away from where she lived, so where she went missing from. Now, Israel Keyes claimed that he burned down a trailer in Colville, which is where these two girls went missing from, and specifically Cassandra. He claims he burned down a trailer, so we know that whoever killed Marlene and Cassandra burned down their trailer, but he would never admit to killing either of these. But these two as well are assumed that these were crimes that he committed. So Israel Keyes, he then decides to join the military. On July 9th, 1998, Israel Keyes enlisted in the army. And at one point, he was stationed in Egypt. And it is believed that when he was overseas in the army, that he SA'd and killed some women. He also, when he was in the army, would threaten to kill other soldiers. So, yeah. Then he was honorably discharged. I don't know what the hell's honorable about this guy, but he gets honorably discharged from the army. Once he gets out of the army, he moves to a reservation on the Olympic Peninsula, and he meets a young woman, not underage young, a woman, and the two of them start dating, and they end up having a daughter together. And he uses the skills of carpentry that he learned as a young boy. He goes into construction. He's very successful, and he's very good at his job. And it's really scary afterwards when people would find out, like, they would remember him, and they would remember he did really good work for me. And then they find out, yeah, he was a serial killer the whole time. And yeah, he was in my house. Yeah, so that was wild. But it was one, if there's anything he was good at, I guess it's carpentry. Anything else, he's a piece of shit, pretty much, I would say. So how did Israel Keyes get away with committing so many murders? One thing about Israel Keyes is he was extremely good at controlling his impulses. And that's something that's usually very difficult for serial killers. They usually want to kill and they don't want to wait to do it. But Israel Keyes would plan murders years ahead of time. If you've heard of him, I'm sure you've heard about his kill kits. What he would do is he would say, so say he's in Alaska. He's going to fly to California, then he's going to rent a car and he's going to drive to Texas, and he's going to create a kill kit. And in these kits, he would have guns, he would have cash, he would have rope, he would just anything that he thought, knives, anything he thought would be useful in a murder. And he would go to some secluded area, dig really deep, bury these murder kits, and then leave, not do anything illegal. Would be burying a kill kit, I feel might be illegal, but anyways, he didn't hurt anyone. He would just go and bury this kill kit and hit the road. Now, I mentioned Texas. There's no evidence that he killed anyone in Texas. I was just using that as an example. Just basically, he would fly to one state, drive to another state. So there wasn't a trail of him killing people in the same area. Like, he would travel huge distances to commit murders and then travel huge distances to commit another one. So it was very difficult. Well, it ended up being impossible for police to ever put together what Israel Keyes was doing. The only information other than catching him for the murder of Samantha, everything else was stuff he had told them about. They definitely obviously had their suspicions based on where he had lived, what he had done. But really, all of the information about everything other than Samantha came from Israel Keyes himself. So Israel Keyes would travel a lot from Alaska to Washington State. If you travel from Alaska to Washington State, you need to drive through British Columbia in Canada. So when he was being interviewed by the FBI, asking, so did you kill anyone while you were in Canada? His response was, Canadians don't count. I'm Canadian. Great, we don't count. Thanks. But yeah, that came from Israel Keyes, so who cares, right? Maybe he doesn't count. The FBI very strongly believes that he had victims in Canada and that he was just never caught for them. And if you're traveling from Washington State to Alaska, when you drive to BC, you're going to be very close to, it's called the Highway of Tears. If you would like me to do a video about the Highway of Tears, I can do that. Basically, the Highway of Tears, it's a highway in British Columbia where an alarming number of Native women disappear from. And it's been happening from the 70s until now. And there's been so many different theories on what's going on this Highway of Tears. But if you want a full video on that, I can go, I can do a whole video on that because that's a huge situation on its own. But my personal belief is he probably was one of the killers who killed along the Highway of Tears in Canada. But again, we can't confirm that. The FBI did state they do very firmly believe that he killed people while he was in Canada. He just never got caught. And while he was planning his murders, he would always plan to commit murders in isolated areas. And he claimed to the FBI, because he was kind of bragging when he's being interviewed by the FBI, he thinks he's a big shot. Like, I've got all the secrets, and if you bring me an Americano coffee, I'll tell you some of my secrets. He said that when his daughter was born, he made a rule that he would not kill any children. But the two young girls that he is suspected of killing, he was 18 years old and he didn't have a daughter when those happened. So I think maybe he stopped killing children when he had a daughter, but he didn't stop killing. Between 2001 and 2012, it is believed that Israel Keyes committed over 40 bank robberies, burglaries, and the FBI came out and said they believe he killed 11 people. Israel Keyes is also suspected to be the Boca Raton killer. So in 2001, there was a killer in Boca Raton, Florida, and also a murder was committed. There was also somebody was kidnapped and robbed, but then released. But again, there's no proof. We don't know. Maybe he did it. Everyone thinks he did it. The FBI definitely thinks he did it, but there's no evidence. Israel Keys did confess to 2 murders in Vermont. Bill and Lorraine Currier were asleep in their home. On the night of June 8th, 2011, Israel Keys broke into their home. He zip-tied and restrained both of them. Once he had them restrained, he took them out of their home and he drove to an abandoned house to commit the murders. It is believed that he essayed both Bill and Lorraine and then killed them. Now, when he had told the police about this, the abandoned house where he had committed the murder, unfortunately, it had been torn down since the murder had happened. So he didn't leave the bodies there. He takes them from their house, he brings them to an abandoned house, he murders them, possibly essays both of them, and then he takes their deceased bodies and disposes of their bodies somewhere else. So their bodies were never discovered. And the house where the killing took place had been destroyed. They did go and try to search to see if there was anything that they could connect and confirm that this had been where Bill and Lorraine had been killed. And they hadn't ever, and their bodies have still never been found. But they were able to find Lorraine's eyeglasses there. So it's believed that when Israel Keys confessed to these 2 murders in Vermont, he was being honest. Now, the reason he was giving information to the FBI is because he did not want any attention. He did not want his name released to the public. Because he didn't want his daughter to know what an absolutely evil man her father was. But I don't know, like, he thinks police are going to be able to withhold this information from the public. And he wants a death sentence. He just wants them to give him a date. They're going to kill him. And they were like, okay, yeah, we have to have a trial. Like, there's more steps to that. We can't just sit here and say, okay, we'll kill you next week. Sounds good to us too. It would have been great, but yeah, they can't just kill you because you asked them to. So he kind of, I feel like he played a lot of games. He would give them a little bit of information, but really, other than the 2 murders that he committed in Vermont, he really didn't confirm or give them any, kind of vital information or were able to close cases. Well, obviously Samantha's, they were. But yeah, Israel Keys, he didn't want his name released publicly because, quote, that true crime stuff that's popular, I don't want any BS about me. Well, guess what, Israel Keys? I'm talking some BS about you. True crime, baby. Yeah, we're going to talk about you. But unfortunately, most of Israel Keys' secrets and horrific crimes, he took with him to his grave. On December 2nd, 2012, Israel Keys was found deceased in his jail cell, and he had used a razor, which he wasn't supposed to have, but somehow he did have, and he took his own life. So literally, the trash took itself out. And then in 2020, the FBI released pictures that they found in Israel's cell after he had taken his life. So there were 11 skulls and 1 pentagram, and it said, "We are one" on one of the drawings. So it's believed that the 11 skulls are representative of 11 of like that he killed 11 people, and these are the 11 people, and then the pentagram, I guess, is him. Okay. Yeah, okay. That is the absolutely psychotic story of Israel Keys. He's just so gross. So gross. So, I'll let you know, this video, I tried to film yesterday, but I couldn't do it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the video now. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to add in the video from yesterday where I tried to film this so you can see what happened and why I couldn't film yesterday. And I did put this on the community tab. So I decided I'm going to pick one day of the week and always upload on the same day. So it's going to be Fridays. So this video will get uploaded Friday. And then every Friday, there will be a new true crime video uploaded. I'm going to also still be doing bonus videos, so there'll be extra, more than just one video a week. But guaranteed on Friday, there will always be a new video for me, because I've gotten a lot of responses from you guys where you're not getting notifications of my videos, and all of a sudden you're, messaging me and saying, I just saw 4 new videos from you. I was not even notified about them. So I thought maybe if I keep it to a schedule on Fridays, you always know you can look Friday and there'll be a new video for you. And I'll be sprinkling in some extra videos here and there, but Fridays are gonna be the day. I hope that you are all doing amazing. And again, I just wanna say thank you so much to you guys for all of the love and support that you give me by watching the videos, liking, sharing. And I know I say it in every video, but you don't know truly how much it means to me. I absolutely love doing this, and I couldn't do it if it wasn't for you guys. So I just want to say a huge thank you, and I'm just going to continue to be grateful. I know sometimes people will comment, you don't have to keep thanking us, but I'm just that grateful that I want to. So I'm going to keep thanking you, whether you like it or not. But yeah, do something today that makes your soul happy, and I will see you in the next one. This channel is definitely a vibe. Hi. Hi. Are you gonna let me film the video? It's not a good time for you? You'd like me to pick another time? The power of the puss. Come here, at least say hi. At least say hi if you're gonna interrupt. Look how cute this baby is. Now, she looks really cute. She looks adorable. She is adorable, but she's kind of a terrorist, I'll be honest. Yeah, so we started having some major cat problems in the last, I would say, 4 to 5 days. So I have 2 cats. My older cat, Harmony, he is 7, and Petal, who you just saw, she is 6. So for 6 years, these 2 cats have lived together, loved each other. They're best friends. Everyone gets along. And then a few days ago, Petal decided that she no longer wanted Harmony to live. Yeah, so she's been attacking Harmony for no reason. Yeah, I'm telling them your secrets. I'm telling your secrets. You know, she wakes up every day and chooses violence. Yeah. So they've been together for 6 years, living together in peace. And then all of a sudden, you're not going to let me film this video, are you? No. I have to keep her locked in here because she will try to kill my other cat. But yeah, then a couple days ago, she just decided that at any moment she was going to try to viciously attack my other cat, Harmony. And he's just such a sweet little fella. He's so sweet. And honestly, she was sweet, and now I don't know what's happened. So I'm trying to film a video right now, and guess what? She's not going to let me do it. So yeah, I was sitting here about to film, but we're going to have to talk about Israel Keys later tonight. But this is a video, so you're not going to know. I don't even know why I'm talking right now because I'm not going to probably include this. Maybe I'll just put this at the end of the video. Attempt 1 failed. Petal, she's winning every time. If anybody has any advice on cat aggression, because right now we have to keep both of them completely separate. I try to just even like open the door a crack and it's like, and it's so weird because for 6 years they've loved each other, and then I don't know. Yeah, I'm talking about you. Because see, these people that watch this video, they don't want to talk about you. They want to talk about they want me to tell them about a serial killer. But because you dominate everything now, apparently you just, yeah, you're a bit of a troublemaker. So are we gonna like behave at some point? Do you think when Jerome gets home, maybe I can film the video then? Would that be acceptable? I'm at her mercy. Send help. Just be a lover. Everyone in this house is lovers. And then she just, I don't know, wakes up every day and chooses violence. My hair's really big today. I guess because it holds all my secrets. She's going to do what she's going to do. So anyways, yeah. I'm going to stop filming and try to film later. If she'll let me. Send help. I'm blinking, so you know to send help. Okay, I'm just being ridiculous at this point. Yeah, so I'll try to film this later. Peace out, homies.